Start transmission. 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting to you live from the Static Clan compound. You are now listening to the Jaysin Static Experience, a podcast from an award-winning nobody, noted raconteur, Renaissance man, a man with a sailor's mouth, but he has never sailed, and who likes to talk about a cornucopia of topics. This podcast is brought to you by www.jaysonstatic.com, a place filled with all your pop culture, antiques, and collectible needs. And now your host, the one and only Jaysin Static. But hey, you want to get this going?
Oh yeah, I'm down.
Cool, man. Let me do the intro. Welcome back, everybody. Jaysin Static with another motherfucking episode. And today, you guys, I have a treat for you. We have the front man of an alternative rock band, A Dead Desire, Mr. Moroni Silva. Let me tell you guys something. Not only is he the front man, he's the guitarist, the bassist, the keyboardist, the percussionist. This guy is essentially a Renaissance man, much like myself. And we are going to dive as deep into the water as we can with this one. So without further ado, Moroni, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, bro. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, good. So, since you're new to the podcast, since you're new to my neck of the woods and the people that follow me, just give me a brief synopsis of who you are and what you do and what your band's about.
All right. So my name is Moroni Silva. A Dead Desire. I've been a musician for the last, like a serious musician, I guess, last 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. And in 2015, I changed my band name from Subtle Sound to A Dead Desire after doing an Ayahuasca ceremony in Mount Shasta to get rid of an addiction to heroin and opiates that I had. And so during that ceremony, I saw a dead body on the ground, and it turned out a little bit later on in that ceremony that I found out that it was me, and that I was informed that not only was that it showed me that was my addiction dying, but it was also the exact same thing that would happen to me if I ever chose to use heroin or opiates willingly ever again. So A Dead Desire stands for the desire to use heroin and opiates is completely dead. And that I advocate for addiction recovery. And I started after that ayahuasca ceremony. I was able to get a contact in the rock radio industry who owns Rock Radio Contraband. His name is Steve Walker. Mm-hmm. And they got me the opportunity to open the Rock Radio Convention and Awards in Vegas in 2017. And I opened for Papa Roach, Incubus, All That Remains, the band Dead, Shallow Side. There was a lot of bands.
Right.
And the main ones were like Papa Roach, All That Remains, and Incubus that were hosted there. And it was just a really big, huge opportunity. And I've chosen to stay independent and do everything that I can to make it in the music industry without a label. Because at this point, I already have everything that a label would offer except for the money. So I've do my own filming, I do my own cinematography, I do my own directing, editing, producing of my music videos. I started my own YouTube channel and started Tones After Dark Publishing LLC. So A Dead Desire LLC is registered with Tones After Dark Publishing through ASCAP, the performing rights organization that collects royalties.
Right.
And so I've done my own web design. I've done like I was saying, basically everything that a label does, I essentially do. And so I've chosen to remain independent, and I guess it's been biting me in the ass.
I've talked to a lot of independent artists. You know, I have a lot of friends that's in the hip hop industry, and they're all independent. And I follow a lot of independent artists, you know, whether it be hip hop or, you know, rock music and stuff like that. Do you find being an independent artist is a little bit more freeing because because of the constraints that the musical industry puts on people.
Sorry, I got a text in the middle of that. What was that? What was the question again? So let me turn this down. Let me mute the phone.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, do you find I have a lot of friends that are also independent artists, mainly in the hip hop industry, but
no, I got that. What was the question after the?
Do you find it to be more freeing to be an independent artist, or because of the constraints that that most people have when they get tied into the industry with a label and everything like that? Everybody knows how the music industry is by now. If you don't know it by now,
no, it's definitely freeing in the aspect that I have all the copyrights and I own all my masters. I own literally everything, and nobody has creative control or tells me what to put in my music video. It's all authentic, and it's all based off of what A Dead Desire stands for, not what somebody wants it to be. And being in the music industry for the short period of time that I've been in it, I know there's some people that get signed and they absolutely can't stand it. They do everything that they can most of their career to trying to get out of it and trying to get the rights to their music back. Well, I guess the main reason why is because a lot of people don't really realize that when you sign a label, it's not like, oh, hey, I made it. Now it's a $1 million contract. I made $1 million. That's not what it is. It's a loan,
right,
for $1 million that you have to pay back within a certain amount of time. And if you don't pay it back in that certain amount of time, they use usury. They like charge you out the ass for it, and the interest rate they give you is like ridiculous. So like,
yeah.
Basically, a lot of people, they get that contract, they don't even read it, they just sign it, they see the money, and they're like, yeah, we made it. And then the record labels are normally like planning on them going out and spending it on drugs and cars and houses or whatever, which most artists do.
Yeah.
But in the contract, it straight up says like, this money isn't for anything. It's not for dicking around. This is to get your recording studio time. This is for you to pay for music videos that you need to do to put back into the label. It's like an investment into the band. And a lot of people don't really realize that. They're like, oh, we made it. We got a record deal. And this is, the way that it is. And like that's what happened to a lot of bands where they got shafted out of it. I guess I went to the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences, and back when I was going to high school or a little bit after high school, there was a band called Hawthorne Heights that came out.
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, they signed a contract, and I can't remember exactly what happened in school. I think they remember them saying that they weren't able to cover the cost of the contract when the interest kicked in, and they by not paying it back on that time, it violated the terms of their contract. And then they ended up having to pay a ridiculous amount of money. They owed the label. The label took the rights of all their stuff. The band members apparently got mad at each other because they didn't know, and they ended up, it's not really a thing anymore. They were big for a second, and then they faded away, and that happens to a lot of bands where they get signed, and then they don't realize, oh, well, we're supposed to read the fine print, and we're supposed to buckle down and get this stuff done. So I've been doing my best to do all the music video production is probably the most expensive thing because I did the research for it.
Video production is not most like me coming from YouTube and stuff like that and doing YouTube videos and stuff like that. I know the concepts and ideas of producing video and stuff like that. Like Destiny told me that you did you did all the video editing and stuff like that for the video Rage that you got, and that's a pretty well done video. So
I built the green screen in my father's barn out in the middle of Trenton, Utah, in the middle of nowhere. And it's a small. It was a big, huge green screen that I had bought off Amazon. That's basically just a huge chroma key green sheet. It was just massive. And I ended up putting up 2 things of plywood in the barn on probably about 5 feet away from each other. And plywood pieces were about 3 feet deep. So it was in a little box about 5 by. I pulled the sheet out a little bit more, so it was probably about 5 by 5, little tiny box where I put the mirror and the desk and everything was filled in this tiny little box. And it looks like I'm in this massive black empty space, but when you actually see where I was recording, people were like, "How did you do that? What camera did you use?" And they were like expecting me to say, "Oh, I used the Red Dragon, or I used the Black Magic, or I used one of these professional cameras." I'm like, "Oh, I used a DSLR Canon T7i Rebel." And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "There's no way that you did that." And I was like, "Why?" And they're like, because the quality of the way that you did it, it's like watching a professional production." And I was like, "Well, that's what I was going for," but I did.
Yeah. I mean, if you were somebody that doesn't know a whole lot about video production, you know, it's like that shit is fucking awesome. It's a fucking great job. But like if you know a little bit about video production, you could see like there was. I'm not knocking the video because, like I said, it was a very well produced video. But like, there was a couple instances where you and Destiny told me that was your son in the video, that where you're moving forward like that, that you could see the clipping very, very, very slightly. If you don't have the eye for it, you're not going to be able to notice it. But
it's barely noticeable. But what I did is I wanted it to make it look like it was, because it's me in the skeleton suit and it's me in the tuxedo, and I needed to do a green screen because I needed both of me to be active and talking and communicating with the other. And so I was able to split the view right down the middle perfectly. So I'm able to put myself in both positions and be Sir Abley and be Moroni, and the whole concept ended up working out exactly how I wanted it to be, where it's supposed to be my son is me going into me being an adult, and I've been writing down and holding on to this rage since I was a kid. Right. It's been following me like this demon, like Sir Abley Moon, putting his hand on the shoulder, and then it's like a turn as a kid. And it's like something that's similar that happened just recently, because I'm still writing down the same lyrics, the same song. And I turn around and it's like, oh, that was weird. And then I keep writing down, and then it's like me as an adult expressing that rage until it blows up. And then it's symbolic of writing down all your rage, putting it in an envelope, sealing that shit up, and then burning it and letting it go.
Right.
Like the whole video.
The whole basis behind that video is like the rage that you had as a child and stuff. What's that come from?
There was a lot of issues that I had with my father. That's why I put the black eye makeup on my son, and I put the black eye makeup on myself. It's kind of like this repeating cycle,
right?
That just has always happened since I was little. This is just physical and mental abuse, and it just built up. And then so it's like I wrote the song to express that, and then to just let it go. So like in expressing that and actually writing a song about it, it helped me out, like getting past all that garbage, like much more than if I were to keep holding that in.
Yeah. That's something that I vibe with that, because now that you told me that's what it was about, because like when I watched it, I was like, man, you have your own, when you're listening to music, you have your own interpretation as the listener of what it could be about. But then when you actually have the artist tell you what it's actually about, and then you're like, man, I actually vibe with that a little bit more, because people on my side, the people that follow me and follow the podcast, they know my story and my history, of abandonment as a child and stuff like that from my father, and me and my father having a very, tumultuous, relationship, since I was young. But over the last, I would say 10 years or so, we've been, real good. We don't have any issues no more. We don't fight anymore. We don't fist fight each other anymore.
That's definitely a plus.
And stuff like that. So, so being able to, like you said, being able to write all that stuff down and essentially burn it and be done with it, I think that's a good thing for people to, especially people that have trauma, childhood traumas, or just any kind of traumas in general, that's a good way to try to get rid of that pain and that hurt that you feel inside, to essentially move further and move past that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, that's one thing that you had mentioned earlier about, like, a lot of people hearing a song and feeling it like in their own interpretation. It was like a quote that David Grohl had said one time, which was, "I love how he says, I love how I can sing to the crowd for one reason, and the entire crowd sings back to me for 50,000 different reasons."
Right.
They're all different people. They all relate in a different way. Mm-hmm. And there's, everybody could take it into and interpret it. And that's what's the powerful thing about music.
Yeah.
And I think the video helps a lot with relaying that message. And so when you have that message of like the rage of talking about it, then you see it, and then you see the skeleton, and then the anger and shouting at the self in the mirror, who's also that skeleton, like that mm-hmm. dark self. Like, we're all our own worst enemy and all that.
Oh, we are. We definitely are. So the character that you have, what's his name again?
Sir Avley Moon.
Is he like that? I like to call him the Dark Passenger.
Yeah,
kind of a Dexter reference.
Yeah.
Dexter was one of my favorite shows. So
that's a really good one.
So the Dark Passenger, like I've talked about this on my podcast a lot, about how everybody has that dark side within them. Everybody has that thing deep down inside of them that they're afraid of, essentially, or like they're afraid of, and they don't want it. They just kind of pack it down, and they just leave it there behind the walls. And so finding out that you have that character, that that dark character, and most what you may not know is Jaysin Static is that character for me.
Oh hell yeah.
So I found my character. I found that dark side, that darkness within me through professional wrestling, and I assumed the monarch of that Dark Passenger, and I took him over. But funny thing that you have the mask gimmick and the mask character and everything too. I actually have a mask character too.
Oh, nice.
So this is my guy.
Oh yeah.
And that's just latex, but it's not
custom made.
Actually, you know what? I found it in a. I was living up in Pennsylvania at the time, and I went to a little flea market place, and I was like, this mask looks super cool, and it reminds me of I guess you could say it reminded me of the flickers and the images in my head of the stuff that I said a while ago of that Dark Passenger. It for some reason it just reminded me of like the structure of the face.
Yeah.
Like the structure of it, the big nose, kind of the furrowed brow. So that reminded me of the face that I always seen in my head. And then with the paint, I just repainted it and just painted the actual image on his face. So it's not custom made.
I was gonna say it definitely is unique. That's the thing that stands out. It's like,
yeah, but it fits me perfectly, and you can even see the mouth moves too.
Oh yeah. So yeah, with the Sir Avley Moon, I wanted it to be able to move with like facial expression. So I got a prosthetic mask that's in two parts, mm-hmm. and Sir Avley Moon was, the dead person. It was me, the dead guy that I saw in the ceremony, but it's also I took Jim Morrison's concept of Mr. Mojo Rising.
Mhm.
You know how he took his name Morrison and he made it out of an anagram, made Mr. Mojo Rising. It's just Jim Morrison with the words all scrambled up.
One of my favorite artists.
Sir Avli Moon is Moroni Silva, just all scrambled up. And Sir Avli Moon, the word Avli, A-V-L-I, if you type it in Google, it says that it's a Sanskrit word translation for Earth. Mm-hmm. So it's Sir Earth Moon, which is really, really trippy because when I saw that dead body in that ceremony, it was like covered in dust and I felt like I was part of the earth.
Right.
And so for me to get that idea and then have that be the name and then have Avli mean earth and then have moon, you know, like it was just oh gosh. I was not expecting that. So it worked out really well.
Yeah. My name, if you didn't know, my name actually, Jay is for my actual real name. My first name begins with a J. And the way that I originally was going to have my name was Jay. Huh?
Your name's not Jaysin?
No.
Oh.
Most people don't know that. But I'll tell you it off the air. But everybody in my hell, even my parents call me Jaysin. So like I said, like I assumed that monarch, like I took my Dark Passenger's character and I took over his life. So and that's how I got past, you know, all the trauma and troubles and stuff that I've had in my life is I assumed the role of my Dark Passenger while still being the good person that I know that I can be, but I used all that aggression and hate and all that stuff to do something different. And you just kind of flip the script on them a little bit. But J stands for my first name, and then sin was the sinful nature of just individuals. And then static comes from my favorite band at the time. No, actually, no. Most people, that's where most people go from. But my favorite band was the Misfits.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And it was from their album called The Static Age. I was sitting when I was training to become a wrestler, the promoter, and he was all like, man, he's like, you're getting close to, you know, graduating, and you're going to be coming up in the next month or next couple of months. He goes, you need to start thinking of a name. And I was like, damn, okay. And I knew I wanted to be Jaysin, but I couldn't figure out a last name. And then the promoter goes, well, you're going to be a babyface, which is a good guy. He goes, so you're not going to be able to do Jaysin because people are going to look at that name and they're going to be like, well, he's obviously a bad guy. So I just added the AY. And then I was sitting one night listening to the Misfits and the song Static Age come on, and it's static, static, static. We're on the video age. Static, static, and that thing just kept ringing in my head. And then on the next chorus came around, I inserted Jaysin in front of the word static, and it was like Jaysin, static, Jaysin, static, Jaysin, static, and I was just like, I got it.
Hell yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mentioned a while ago about the song Rage. I also have another song. I was listening to it earlier today because it was one of the things that I knew that I wanted to talk to you about. Is you have a line in the song? Well, it's kind of a whole section. It's not just a line in the song. It's called The Vanity.
Yeah.
And it kind of piqued my interest, so I was wanting to know the concept behind the line that you have here, which is, let me show you now, you're such a submissive slave, living up to the program demise, and it's all in vain. And then you follow that up with, you know, and it's really not safe to speak all the truths that they try hard to hide. It's all insane. What was the concept behind that section of line, or just the whole song in general?
Well, the whole song in general is like the way that we've been programmed, and it has to do with the secret societies and kind of like the Nicene Council and them taking out certain parts of the Bible and the secret the mystery schools that have kept information from the different parts of the Bibles that have ways to manifest and spells and conjuration and talk about the masculine and the feminine working as one to balance each other. They took these parts out and like in every text, one of the things, the main thing that I was getting at is that we've all been programmed, and the way that they've been trying to program the ones that are susceptible to it is a vanity. It's all vain. There's no point in that lifestyle or the way that the purpose of that life is. It's a slave. So it's like, let me show you now. So where it starts off in the chorus is it says, so you think you were born this way, meaning like everyone thinks that they were born a racist, or everyone thinks they were born gay, or everyone thinks they were born a certain way, and that's not the case. We're all programmed a certain way, because in all the sacred texts that I've ever read and found anywhere, it says the purpose of this life is to realize that we're all God, and the true purpose of life is love and consciousness within all living things, and to realize that if you look in the cat and you love that comforting feeling of that cat or the dog, and you love that dog and that personality, it's a reflection of yourself as a conscious being seeing this life. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, but it's also, everything is a reflection and a manifestation of your consciousness. So the whole thing is like, you think you were born this way. Well, it's a hardened, give it up. That's a hardened lie, because it's not, you weren't born this way. You've been hardened to believe that you're gay, but like, this is just one example. And I know this is really contradictory to a lot of people. It's really controversial, not contradictory. That was totally the wrong word.
I live my life for controversy.
Yeah. Controversial. That's what I meant to say. So it's, in my opinion, no one is ever born homosexual or any of the other sexuals that they've come up with since, the invention of all these crazy PC terms that I don't even know how to keep up with. So in everything, if anything, when people are born, some males are born with more feminine traits than masculine, and same thing with women. Some women are born with more masculine traits than men, or than the feminine. So it gets really deep when I talk about this, because it's like relates to not only the Bible but also the Bhagavad Gita. What Krishna says is there's only three genders. There's male, there's masculine, the feminine, and then there's the neutral, the one that has both parts, like basically a hermaphrodite. Those are the only three genders that there are, and they all have their specific purpose. No one is born homosexual, and basically what I'm getting at is that we're all been programmed this way. So, for instance, an example, when I remember when Beauty and the Beast came out, that Disney movie, when we went and saw it in the theater, there was a part where at the very end, there's a wardrobe that sucks up a dude into a closet. He's like a lumberjack guy with red hair, got a ponytail. The wardrobe sucks him in and it spits him out. But when it spits him out, he's got his hair done up like Marge Simpson. He's wearing a bra. He's wearing a dress. He's got makeup on, and he looks down and he screams in a feminine way, like ah, and everyone's laughing. Like, and not realizing that some kids that have more feminine traits than masculine, who are uncomfortable with that, they see everyone laughing about that, and they're like, oh, this is acceptable. This is okay because, they're not judging him. This is acceptable. Like, and it's not just that. That's just one small example. There are so many things that they put in everything that we have. They're putting it in commercials. They're putting it in movies. They're putting it in children's shows about homosexuality, and they're making it like it's very casual, like it's okay, and it's like it's a program. People are being programmed to have these tendencies. So for the reason why I get into this, I've had this heated discussions with people about this, and I'm like, well, let me just put it this way: the purpose of your life is to realize that you are masculine and feminine. It's not, oh, I'm homosexual and I'm, set to be this one way. It's
Right.
realizing that you are a divine being that needs to balance both of these energies within you in order for you to do anything in this life and to realize your true purpose, which is anyway. Right. So the main thing is to balance the energy. Again, okay. I keep getting off topic.
No, man, I get it.
I bring it back to the scriptures where David, how David and Goliath,
mm-hmm.
it like introduces them as like a really feminine and petite guy. And when it introduces someone who's strong, it introduces them as masculine, a man of great stature who had a strong build. It like goes into
right.
it. He had this story of Jonathan and Saul. Saul's son, Jonathan, David and Jonathan loved each other. And I was reading this in the scriptures, I was like, this is kind of getting really weird. And it gets to the point where they meet each other in a field in secret. In the scripture, it says, when the boy was gone, David arose from his hiding place, meaning that he was there hiding, waiting in secret,
mm-hmm.
goes up to Jonathan, falls on his knees and begs for forgiveness from God. And he says to him something to the effect of like, though God be between my seed and thy seed, I'll always love you. And he tells him that he loves him, but he can't be with him because they both have the seed. They're men. And in Leviticus, it says it's abomination for a man to lay with a man as he lays with a woman. It's abomination in the sight of God. So he tells him, I can't be with you. He balances his homosexuality or that feminine energy, and he balances himself, has a child named Solomon, who's the greatest king that's ever lived. Mm-hmm. So the whole vanity is you think you were born this way, give it up. That's a hardened lie. You're such a submissive slave, meaning like you don't even question it. You're just submissive about it. Like, yeah, I don't question my spirituality. I don't question the fact that we've been programmed to believe that there's no God, even though that if anybody steps outside of the regular programming and actually questions it for themselves and reads the actual Bible mm-hmm. or any other sacred text like the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads or the Holy Science, or I could go on. But anybody who actually reads it mm-hmm. will find, oh my gosh, there is a God and there is a devil and there are these rituals and there are these magic things that you can do. And most of the society has been programmed through dark magic to be a certain way. And that's what the vanity is about. Okay. It's like they don't want people speaking the truths, and they don't want my music out there. I've been censored multiple times because I put it search engine optimization on my website 5 years ago. I did everything for my website. And just like in March, now you type in a dead desire and I'm the first 10 pages. But beforehand, like just 2 years before March, you typed in a dead desire, you couldn't find me until like the 10th page.
Yeah.
But something happened in March where it's like all of a sudden, not only do you type in a dead desire on Google and it's like the first 10 pages, but there's like a whole column on the right hand side that like has all of my personal information as an artist. And I'm like, holy cow, that's who put that there. That wasn't me.
Like,
and so
go ahead.
And so like vanity is like sorry to keep rambling on, dude.
Oh man, it's cool. I enjoy it.
The vanity is like you're such a submissive slave living up to the programmed demise. It's like exactly what we've been talking about.
Right.
You don't question anything, and you're living up to this programmed demise. It's like they don't realize that reincarnation is actually a thing until you get the purpose of your life. Mm-hmm. And so we keep coming back till we get it. And when it's the next line, it says, and it's really not safe to speak all the truths that they try hard to hide. It's insane. They'll threaten to send you pain to the point that you feel their disdain. Mm-hmm. And then she speaks, and so this is like a balance of the male and the feminine. It's the masculine and the feminine. That's why I put the feminine vocal in there.
Right.
I wanted it to be like the man talking at first, and then she speaks, and then it's like her being the enmity and that that seductive form of like, hey, just follow me and just listen to what I'm saying. Just listen to me.
Yeah.
And it's talking about like Lucifer and that energy in the Genesis where it says, I will place enmity between feminine energy, you know, from the beginning. And it's like that seductive form of deception that's also included. It's all vanity. So like, it's all tied into the same thing, that it's all this big illusion. Like,
there's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind nowadays, especially over the last decade and a half or so, since my, I guess you could say, my awakening. You know, and my awakening just came through politics in general. You know, it just came through just life. It came through finding myself through wrestling and understanding the character that I wouldn't say character, but understanding who Jaysin Static was, understanding how to deal with myself, you know, the depression that I have, and being able to understand all of that stuff is what I called my awakening. And that came through a lot, like I said, a lot of different things, through wrestling, through life issues, through depression, through politics, through travel. All of that stuff was all happening all at the same time with me. And it was just one of those, you know, I guess you could say it was like hitting a brick wall. It was like, boom, boom, you hit that brick wall, and then you wake up and you're like, man, where the fuck am I? And that when my awakening into that and understanding that the amount of programming and the submissiveness that we've been dealt with over the last 100+ years, maybe even longer than that, you know, of the powerful elites and stuff like that, just sitting there trying to, you know, play us all as puppets and stuff like that to do their will. And you said something about, you know, censorship and being blocked and stuff like that. One thing, I've never had the issue of not being able to be searched online. Like, you can type in Jaysin Static and you can find all kinds of stuff. I've always had that. But if you can go type my name into Google, and you was always able to find that stuff since like back in 2008. Like when I first started wrestling, you were able to find all that stuff. But if you go to all my platforms, it's like nothing is there. It's like it doesn't exist. Like there like I have at one point on YouTube, I had, you know, I have like 1,500 subs on YouTube, but I get like 5 views a video. You know, my Facebook pages, I can post something, you know, something super inspirational and funny or whatever, anything like that, gets nothing, no traffic. None of my platforms have any traffic anywhere.
I did the Here Comes the Rain Again cover with Ollie Herbert from the band All That Remains, and within literally the first 2 weeks, it went up to 24,000 views, and that was really good in my opinion. I was like, hell yeah, this is actually going kind of viral. Literally after 2 weeks, it stopped, and it is still to this day, like 2 or 3 years later, like still at 26,000 views, like only 2,000 more than what it had. And that was like, dude, that song, it's played on in-store radio. What's in store music. It's played in every Subway. It's played in Walmart. It's played in Best Buys across the nation. And it only has 26,000 views on YouTube. Like, that's insane. Like, I had the song In My Mind number 8 on the top 20 on the BBC Radio 1 network in Beirut, Lebanon, with Eminem and Ed Sheeran at number 7, and I was number 8. Like, that's crazy. And in the United States, they won't play me on more than 3 or 4 radio stations. Yeah.
That's, you know, I've had hell, my YouTube channel. I at one point I had 300 and something videos on there, and 250 of them were demonetized. Probably about 30 of them ended up getting banned or deleted. I had one video. It was a satirical video that I made, and it was making fun of the environmentalist girl Greta Thunberg, and I put, it was the "how dare you" type thing, and I was like, I was sitting around with my buddies one night, and we're just sitting here in a chat, and we were talking about all that stuff, and I was like, you know what'd be funny is to take that little speech that she did and insert that speech over, like, a Hitler speech. Just I mean, I like to make fun of things and make fun of people and stuff like that, and I thought it would be funny. And that thing blew up. Like, it had like 10,000 views the first, like, I went to bed, I posted it at like midnight, because it only took me like 20 minutes to make it. So it's her video. It's a video of her talking, but it's Hitler's voice. And I was just like, it's just funny, there's no harm in it, like, everybody's heard the speech.
You violated our terms of conditions of privacy or whatever the garbage it is they say. but I woke up the next morning, like 4 or 5 hours later, and it was at 10,000 in like just in just a couple of hours. Cause like I hit it right on, like the day that she did that speech is the day that I did the day that I did that video. So her, I essentially caught the wave. But if you see my video of it, it's now currently 1 year later at 28,000 views. And if you see any of the other videos of hers where it's just the straight video, there's like up in the millions. Like that thing, and it's tailed off. It's the one video that's controversial that I have that they never actually did anything with it. They didn't demonetize it or anything like that. They just slow walked everything. Like, I have a video on YouTube that's 28,000 views and it made 13 cents. Yeah, I remember like right around the time I'd release Here Comes the Rain Again, they sent me that email demonetizing all my stuff and saying that I needed 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. And I've reached that since then, but they still haven't monetized my stuff. Yeah.
Well, I got a demonetization for Christmas last year.
Well,
2019.
Like, sorry, bro.
2019. I woke up Christmas morning and I had the email saying that my channel's been demonetized. I was like, oh, fantastic!
Oh, wow, yeah. Merry Christmas!
Yeah, I was like, I've never made it. I was like, I'd never made a damn thing from YouTube, anyways. But knowing that you took my demonetization away, great. I'll just act more of a fool. Yeah. And I did. My whole career, my whole YouTube career is just me making fun of anything and everything that I can. But I mean, I think one thing that we have wrong with today's society is just people are so uptight about everything.
Oh yeah.
And me, I just want to have fun and laugh and make fun of things. Especially I want to make fun of politics. I want to make fun of all sides.
Yeah,
because
the vanity is also about politics. It's like, it's about the war, it's about racism, it's about literally everything that we've been programmed in society about.
Yeah. Like, well, I was the reason I asked you about the song Vanity is because on your lyric video you have kind of like a state capitol looking like building on there, and that's one of the reasons why I was asking about it is because I like politics. I like talking about politics. So I was just like, I'm going to ask him about this because I have a feeling that's what he's getting at, but I'm not sure. So I just wanted to kind of.
Yeah, I actually went to Salt Lake City to the Capitol, and I recorded that for the Vanity, and I used Facebook filters to record the entire video. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is the amount of time and effort that you put into video creation and production is. I looked it up and it was ridiculous. For an average cost of a 10-hour day of music video production is $10,000. No, it's like that's insane, and that's for like a 5 to 10 person crew. And I was like, there's no way I can afford even one 10-hour day of $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's just ridiculous. And so I started looking into it, like how much would it cost to start up my own production company, or how much would it cost to get a camera, how much would it cost to do this and that and that, and I figured it all out with getting a really good deal on a Canon T7i Rebel DSLR camera, and a lens that just comes with the camera. I've shot all the music videos except for the Vanity. The Vanity I shot on my iPhone, but the other ones, it's $10,000 a day. So I spent 90 hours of filming on the Rage and 80 hours of editing, so 170 hours total.
Mm-hmm.
That movie, that music videos, if it was the average cost, would have been about $170,000, which it's not far-fetched price because I had special effects in it, which special effects, if you hire a special effects team, it takes a lot more. If you hire any type of makeup afterwards, like there's so many different costs that go into this production. You know the movie Home Alone?
Yeah.
Obviously everyone knows Home Alone, but that movie, when I was watching this movie on this thing on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us, and Home Alone's on there, and they said that to film that movie and all the costs and everything, it cost them $14.7 million. And there's no special effects used in that. And I'm like that's insane. Like I spent, like $2,200 on all my props, all my makeup, all the green screen, everything, and I filmed Rage for $2,200. But with the cost of special effects and everything, like it's around $170,000 production, which is very, very easy to see how a 4-minute video like that could be worth $170,000 when an hour-long movie that doesn't have any special effects is $14.7 million.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm like, this is insane.
Oh my god, yeah. I find it's not hard to learn how to do things, especially like videography and stuff like that. It's not hard. There's so much outlets. There's so many outlets out there nowadays that you can learn and find out how to do all of this stuff on your own.
All my way, I learned everything on YouTube. Yeah. Everything, like from and just watching music videos, because I pay attention to that. Like this, look at this camera angle, look at this, and then like when I go to film my first music video, I was like looking at the angle. I'm like, nobody ever films the dude in the middle of the frame of the camera, just like through the whole music video. It's like always these unique, different close-up shots from the sides, and always changing angles. They're just always a new angle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Unless it's like a music video that's making a point, and then there has to be specific reoccurring images or whatever. But
there's another artist. He's a hip hop artist, Tom McDonald. He builds all of his stages and all of his music videos that he does.
Oh yeah.
He builds all of his props and everything like that. Or he, for certain videos and stuff like that, say like he did a song called Buttholes or something where he was in a mansion and he rented out the mansion to do it. But like there was a video he just recently did where he showed, I think it was on his, I don't remember if it was on his Facebook or on his Instagram. It was somewhere where he posted like behind the scenes shots of it. And it's literally him sitting there building the cage that he was standing in with the red lights and everything like that. And I was like, damn, like instead that dude probably saved himself, like you said, a couple $100,000 by doing all the shit himself.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't doubt it at all.
I mean, why spend the useless money? Like
all the props that he puts in there, and the quality of the music videos, dude, it's easy. Like,
yeah.
Just as much money or more, because it's like it's ridiculous to do that much work. Like,
yeah. What do you edit? What do you edit your videos on, if you don't mind me asking?
I do Adobe Premiere Pro 2019, the CC version.
Okay. I'm a DaVinci Resolve guy.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard of a lot of different video editing. I started on iMovie, and then when I went to look around, I researched reviews on Adobe Premiere Pro, and I'm familiar with Pro Tools, and so it had a lot of really similar like feel to it. Yeah. And I actually edited and produced the sounds of all the nature sounds in Thunder Rolling Down the Mountain album in Premiere Pro, and I set out just the audio. I printed just the audio as a WAV file and I sent it to the producer. We're chopping that up and having that mastered.
Yeah, but I started making videos on Windows Movie Maker.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Windows Movie Maker back in 2008. And I was doing I was producing my wrestling videos, which was I would just take like making like top moves, finisher and stuff like that. Just doing your typical. If you go on and search wrestling videos and stuff, you see like people doing like intros into their wrestling videos. Like, oh hey guys, this is Jaysin Static, and this is a video back from March 9th, 2010, and I wrestled da 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 da, and just doing intros like that, like I am the one hosting you and stuff like that. So I started doing all that stuff back in like 2009, I believe it was, when I started making videos, and I was editing stuff on Windows Movie Maker. So
no way.
Yeah, Windows Movie Maker.
Like, yeah. I remember when I was trying to do iMovie, dude, I was getting so frustrated because I did the vanity in it, and it took me literally a month working like 8 to 9 hour days. Mm-hmm. And I moved over to Premiere Pro, and is it like this for you? Like when you switch to DaVinci, does it like day and night difference, where it's like just super easy and the flow is just like, oh wow, look at that.
I've been using DaVinci Resolve for like four years now, and I still don't know everything on there.
Does it have like animation? Can you do like turning yourself into like a cartoon?
You can do. There's plugins and stuff like that you can get. You also have like After Effects, where you can do all types of like audio waves, and you can do all kinds of like animation through After Effects, and then you can plug it into DaVinci Resolve and stuff like that. I'm not very good at that stuff. Like if you want just like a basic edit with like fades and stuff like that, just essentially your basic edited video, nothing like super spectacular or anything like that. I'm your guy. I can do that stuff perfectly. but when it gets into like adding audio waveforms where you see your audio levels bounce up and down, or creating animations and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's where I'm struggling, is just to automate like animation or special effects. I just barely learned how to do slow motion, like modifying all the frames per second, even the 60 frames per second down to 23.976 to make it slow motion. Yeah. And I barely learned how to do that with the Rage music video. Here Comes the Rain Again was the one that I had done before that. Mm-hmm. And I filmed with T7i Rebel, but with Rage, and I actually put the slow motion in there. The effect that you get with it is like, oh my gosh, like, it makes it look that much more insane. And so all you do is just modify the footage to match. So you film if you go into, like, I don't know if you have an iPhone or a Droid, whatever you have.
If you have a Droid.
If you go into the camera setting, you can see the frame rate that you're filming at. Mm-hmm. If you're at 60 frames per second when you upload it into DaVinci or whatever, if you right click on it, and you should be able to see where it says modify. You click on it, mm-hmm. and you adjust the video frame per second to your custom, and you adjust it to run at 23.976 frames, which is the standard professional movie quality of that they use in movies.
Mm-hmm.
You do that with 69 frames per second footage, it slows it down into this amazing, like buttery smooth slow motion footage. It's like, oh gosh.
Yeah, like
it's crazy.
You would think after doing video editing and stuff for so long, since how like I said, I started doing it in like 2009. You think I would be further along, but I there's just something about the simplicity of just a basic edited video that doesn't have like a whole like tons of bells and whistles, you know, with like there's so much that you can do with just a basic edited video with like regular cuts, just different layers, different camera angles.
Oh yeah.
There's something great about the simplicity of all that. And it doesn't take as much time. Like I did a video a couple of weeks ago where it was a hiking video, where I started hiking again, like hiking trails and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
And it's just, I take, I have a membership to a website called Epidemic Sounds, where it's just like audio tracks and music and stuff that I can just overlay, over me walking through trails and stuff like that, and then the music will fade out, and then it'll fade out right into where I start talking about stuff, and usually it's me talking about, issues with battling depression and finding motivation, and it's essentially like my little motivational series, where that's actually what I started doing YouTube on, was motivational videos for like, it was like 20-second motivational videos. Like when I actually started doing YouTube. Yeah. Well, I started my YouTube channel back when I was wrestling. So it actually started from that. But when I actually started doing YouTube videos where like I actually put thought into them, instead of just being like, hey guys, this is my wrestling video, go look at it. Or in hopes for people would see it.
Yeah.
It was actually motivational videos where I talked about my awakening, essentially, where the motivation that I found behind it, things that I try to do to keep myself motivated to do stuff, because people that battle with depression and stuff like that, they have that tendency to get inside themselves and kind of not put forth their best effort sometime.
Yeah.
Because they let that depression swallow them so much.
Oh yeah.
But
I know what you mean. I get burnt out.
Yeah,
I've been burnt out this whole last month. That's why at the beginning of this, as you were like, "Happy man," I've been like, "Oh man," I was like, "Oh, I'm doing good." I'm like, "Wait a minute." I'm not gonna lie. This month I've been burnt out.
It's always better to be truthful. I tell people that all the time. Like, I'm never gonna come on any of these podcasts or anything that I do where I'm talking to somebody, and I'm never gonna just be fake, or if I'm having a bad day, like I'm gonna tell you I'm having a bad day, and I'm gonna tell you the story of why I'm having that bad fucking day.
That's how I've chosen to live my life too, man. I try my best to be as honest as possible and upfront and transparent with everybody that I come into contact with, and since doing that, since my first ayahuasca ceremony, my life's changed significantly. Like,
what's that? I've never done anything like that, but what's that like? Take me through that process.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Like you say, you struggle with like depression and stuff, and you get there, and if your intention is to get some of that depression alleviated, like mine was to get my addiction, like to get rid of my addiction. Because like I hadn't done it for about a month, but I still had these cravings and I wanted to get rid of that. And so you get there and you're really like heavy and you're like, man, I just, you want to feel good. That's the whole reason for going there. And you take the medicine, and the medicine, grandmother ayahuasca will just guide you. It'll never give you what you can't handle, and it'll guide you to exactly what you need. And it's like there's a lot of rules that they tell you before you go into ceremony. Like if you contact a power animal, like an eagle or a tiger, a lion, or any like power animal like bears or anything like that, then any entity that you see, you're supposed to say like, who are you? And by like the law of God, they're supposed to, if they have a purpose and they have a name, they'll tell you. If they don't, by the law of God, they're supposed to go away and leave you alone. And normally if they're not meant to be there, they'll either fade away or they'll melt or like they'll hiss or like go away. They leave, and there's a lot of rules. Like if there's any UFOs that come around or any extraterrestrials that stop by and say, hey, you need to come with us, you say, no, I'm staying here, because the grandmother's responsible for you. She's not going to let you get into your consciousness, go into some form of UFO and then leave, and then your body's sitting there as like an empty vessel, like she doesn't want anything to happen, because things happen during ceremonies that a lot of people can't really explain, and it's magic basically. It's like
I would probably I think that's one of the reasons why I've never done something like that. It's not because I wouldn't want to, but I'm that type of person in my mindset. Like the curiosity piques me too much. So like if something came along with me, or if I was in ceremony or something like that, and something was like, hey, come with me, I'd be like, okay, let's go check this side out.
Like my first spirit guide, I haven't really told anybody this. It was an archangel, the Archangel Gabriel, and when he came out, it was just like, oh my gosh, like, are you serious right now? Like, is this? I was looking around and I was laughing my ass. I was like, are you serious? Seriously? I was like, this is unreal. And I ended up seeing it was insane. I'm not allowed to really talk about the full extent of what happened, because of like, it's like, it says it in the scriptures, you don't want to take something that's really valuable and put it and give it to someone who, I'm not saying that you're not worthy, but there's people that will hear it.
No, I understand.
That will be like, oh, well, this is what is really, and it'll devalue the entire meaning of the experience. And so if you were to go to an ayahuasca ceremony, then I would tell you the entire thing. I'd be like, hey, dude, this is exactly what happened. Because you don't want, when you change, there's a saying out there that says, when you change the way that you look at things, the things you look at change. And so in like the quantum physics world, if I'm talking about my spiritual experience out there, people can hear that. And if they're on a really low vibrational frequency, and they can manipulate that and be like, well, this is what, there's a lot of things that can happen. You don't want to give away too much of yourself. There's also like, I guess it's kind of along the same lines of like your essence. Like if you were to know your true name, because we all have a name that's not our actual name, the birth name. But if you were to find that out, and if someone were to know about your true name, they could harm you, like spiritually, knowing your true name. It's like, all that has to do with like magic. When I say that, it's not like no one goes to ayahuasca ceremony and be like, oh, we're going to go to a magic ceremony. It's when I say it's magic, it's like you go there, you put your intentions into the medicine, and the things that happen during this transformation, during the ceremony itself, is magic, because you have to get rid of everything that no longer serves you in that ceremony in order to make that intention happen. So it's like a form of magic, because it's like a prayer that you do, and it's like during that ceremony you do the work and all that hard stuff to make that prayer come true. So all you have to do is do the work and push yourself through it. Then when you're done, you don't talk to anybody about what happened for at least a month, unless they've done ayahuasca ceremony. You just keep it to yourself. Because you don't want any of these negative entities coming out there and destroying your perception and your belief about what happened and trying to say, well, it could mean this and it could mean this, and then put these seeds of thought in your mind to completely taint the experience. Yeah. And so like it's not about like, you know, I don't trust you or anything like that. It's a form of like, it's something sacred, and like you don't just
man. I definitely get that.
Oh yeah, you would love it. Like it is something that's really phenomenal. When you're
do you think it's possible to have that type of enlightenment without actually doing something like that, like the actual ceremony? Do you think it's actually possible for people to have that type of
there's a lot of people that don't go to ayahuasca or peyote ceremonies. Like you can go to breathing ceremonies that they don't take any substances. They just breathe and they guide you through this breath meditation. And I have been through some breath ceremonies where I've seen just as many and powerful and intense visions as I have an ayahuasca ceremony. They're mind blowing, and it's by breathing. And it's all the stuff that we hold in, and so like it's also through meditation you can get there. But the main reason why I feel like ayahuasca is more beneficial is because you don't only do your work, you're connected to everybody who goes to that ceremony. And you help other people process, because some people are more powerful conduits for energy and empathic wise, like absorbing energies and processing it for other people. And by doing that, going to that ceremony, hey, I might have to help some people. And that's a form of selfless service. And what Krishna says is that selfless service is the fastest way to enlightenment and the fastest way for you to get into the kingdom of God. And so if you are in these ceremonies, when you come out, like if you're wanting to get rid of your depression, like when I got rid of my addiction to heroin and opiates, when I got out of that ceremony, the feeling is almost like it's like inexplicable. Like the feeling, it's like you can just breathe. You can just, that heavy depression or that addiction or that anxiety or whatever it is you're trying to get rid of, that heaviness on your chest, it's just it's gone, and you're like, it's like you could take the deepest, most cleanest breath of fresh air, and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so phenomenal right now. And the key is to continue to feel that way.
I do that.
And to not fall back into those patterns that in your daily life to get you back to feeling the way you were.
Like I've always had, like, my experience, like, with getting myself out of that, you know, that funk of depression. And because if you've ever had, you know, I kind of correlate, you know, depression and addictions, kind of the weight and the stress of them kind of feel the same. Growing up in a family that's had people that are that's been addicted to drugs and stuff like that, and then being in relationships and stuff with people that were addicted to drugs and stuff like that, and then me being a person that suffers from depression, I can feel and see the weight and anxiety and stress that a person that suffers from addictions, I can feel it.
Oh yeah.
And it feels exactly like the depression and the weight and the stress and the anxiety that I feel. Two different things, but it runs like on a parallel level where it's easy for me to, I wouldn't say it's easy, it's hard, but I've had a lot of practice in it and getting out of that funk and stuff like that. Sometimes it lasts a little bit longer.
Oh yeah.
But something that I do now is I was actually just telling Destiny a couple of weeks, maybe a week or two, a couple weeks ago, where I just, you know, I have this room and everything like that, and it's just essentially this whole room that I'm sitting in, it's open behind me, and I just sit in here in the middle of the room, straight. I either have it completely dark in here, or I just have some type of small light on here, whether it be some type of small colored light, red, blue, green, something like that, whatever energy that I want pushed into me, because colors admits different energies and stuff like that. Red is more anger. Red is more, violent tendencies and stuff like that. Blue's more calming, and all of these different things. So the way that I need to feel, like, say, like most recently, I was in a pretty long funk. Like I'd say is several weeks long, where I was just like, man, I don't want to do a damn thing. Like I'm just done. I'm tired of people. I'm tired of everything. And I just want to come in here and I want to vibe out and I want to do nothing. And I just want to get back to my center. Yeah. To where, because like I said earlier, where I assume the body of Jaysin Static, the dark passenger that I have, I assume sometimes he likes to, run roughshod inside my head. and that's my depression. That's when my depression is, when I don't lock him down and I don't center myself. And that's when I just kind of like, I want to vibe out. So most of the time what I do is I'll come in here, which is my office studio room. And I just sit down in here and I throw some headphones on and throw some lights on, turn all my lights down except for one, like whether it be a spotlight or some of the colored lights that I have in here. And I just throw on either like it varies depending on the music that I listen to. Like I don't ever listen to like, like actual artists or anything like that. I usually listen to like Native American tribal stuff or Viking war drums and stuff like that. Just kind of instrumentals of all of these different types of music that you can like feel. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, and if I say if I'm feeling real down about something, like I've had a lot of family issues going on over the last couple of months, so that's gotten my vibe down a lot, and it's kind of a more saddened, somber vibe. And if I want to pick myself up, I just listen to something that has a little bit more, upbeat of a tempo.
Oh yeah.
If I need to really get aggressive and start hustling and start working on something, I listen to something more like war drums or something like that to essentially get myself into that mindset and mode of, okay, I've got to attack this. I've got to go. I've got to start working in it, or I've got to start fighting, which essentially means I've got to start fighting my daily self. I've got to start fighting myself day to day to get to the dreams and the goals and the things that I have set for me each and every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my process of, I guess you could say, maybe it's not the exact same. Check me if I'm wrong about that, but it's,
No, you're pretty spot on, bro. Like I think it's kind of, it's similar and a little bit different for everybody, but I think it all winds down to just, I don't know, realizing our true worth, dude. It's hard. It's hard as hell.
Yeah, it's hard.
Like to push through all what everybody says, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing this. It's like, well, I don't want to be doing that. Yeah. Like to be true and authentic to yourself, like that's what really matters, dude. And I've been trying my best to get over the fact that I do have anger issues and depression and stuff. And I've been trying to write happier songs, but at the same time, it's like, in order to write happy songs, you kind of need to be happy.
Happy person, yeah. No, I get it, man. I get it. People tell
you should write happy songs. I'm like, you should try to write music.
Yeah, people tell me all the time. They're like, Jaysin, you need to do this and you need to do that. You've got the charisma to go out and do stuff. Like people would probably catch on to some of the stuff if you just did it this way, or you did this, or you did that. And I'm like, look, guys, like I'm good where I'm at. Like if I never, listen here, guys. Like I can't be
being the way I am right now.
I am completely fine with my 15 views a video. I'm perfectly fine with it. Why am I perfectly fine with that? Is because I'm happy within what I'm doing. I think that's the whole purpose of producing anything in life, you know, whether it's music or this podcast or just videos in general. Like if you're putting yourself out there for the public to essentially view what you're doing, like you got to be somewhat content with what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's hard, dude, because when you come, well, I've sold a lot of merchandise and stuff, and I've made quite a bit of money performing and doing stuff like that. But a lot of people are like, well, how much have you made from your music online? And it's like, well, it's kind of embarrassing because it's like since 2015, I've only made $464,
right?
And 264 of that came from November of 2020 until the end of December 2020, where I was running an ad campaign and I actually got people listening more than usual. And so it's like, holy cow, like that actually kind of worked a little bit. Within a month and a half, I got I got $264, and before that I only had 200. So I made like a third more, or almost a fourth more, a little bit over a fourth than what I had made.
Mm-hmm.
I like doubled it. It's crazy. Like it's the amount that I made in that little bit of time. It's ridiculous. But I think that eventually, you know, you just keep doing what you love. It's going to pay off in the long run. A lot of people are like, "Well, you're not making hardly any money. Then why are you doing it?" It's like, well, there's not doing any shows and stuff right now. It's like, well, I've like invested the last 6-7 years of my life into it, and if I were to give up and try to get a regular job like everybody else, then I would feel like a failure, and I don't want that.
Yeah, I think people don't. The people that try to tell you, you know, do it this way, do this, you know, I don't think they understand. You know, I'd say people like you, or even a person like me, where I can't do something. I could do it. Like I could go out and I can make this happy video, and I could be like every other, you know, person that you see on YouTube, like, "Hey guys, my name's Jaysin, and today we're going to do this." And, you know, be this, you know, this wild kooky character, but like it's not authentically me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I feel and I would feel fake doing it, and that's just something I can't. I made a promise to myself, and that was one of the things that got me into the into the process of the awakening that I talked about. Is I made a promise to myself to never be fake with myself again.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's something that I live by now. Is I can't be fake to myself. I can't put myself out there as something fake. I can't do it. It goes against everything that I believe in. You know, so I would rather have that 5 to 10 to 15 to maybe 500 views on a video than to be able to go out there and produce, you know, videos that could be up in the thousands or in the millions. I would just feel fake and like a fraud, and I can't do it to myself anymore.
Oh, I feel you. I've had 2 different opportunities to sign, one to Edge Records and another one, well, I don't remember if it was Sumerian or if it was the first rock radio convention that I'd gotten the guy's contact information, and I was like, cool. And then I had talked to Steve Walker, and he's like, why would you want to sign at this point? He's like, you own everything. He's like, dude, you just need to take a break and let the world catch up with you. And I was like, okay. So I did that. I took a break for like 2 weeks, and I was like burning him down and getting excited. I was like, yeah, Steve Walker said I made it. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'm not like everybody else. I don't have a team doing my advertising. I don't have anybody promoting. I don't have anybody in my corner. It's all me. If I don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. So I stopped doing that little break thing in 2017 after 2 weeks. I was like, I'm going to get back to it. Be completely independent. And I'm like from where I was back then when I opened for those bands at the rock radio convention to now, it's like I have made a lot of accomplishments that a lot of people, it's hard to say, hey, the lead singer of Korn, one of my favorite bands growing up, listens to my music.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's hard to like to say, oh, I kicked it with, like as a musician, like not just like, hey, I made it backstage. Like it's like, hey, I made it to the rock radio convention where people are reviewing my songs on the same level as these musicians. That's crazy to me. Yeah. Like, and I did it without doing what everybody else said I should be doing, which was, I need to play as many shows as possible. I need to sign with the label. I need to get a manager. I need to do all this different stuff. And I was like, why? Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I do. And because I did what I did, I got the opportunity to perform at the Rock Radio Convention and Awards. And I'm in the position that I am right now, that all I need is another artist and I can start my own record label. And before I do that, though, I'm working on getting a $10,000 loan. I have to contact my buddy here I told him I'd give him a call at 7:30. But I told him that we're trying to get. He already loaned me $10,000. Not loaned me. He invested in a Dead Desire, and he's going to be investing an additional $10,000 for an additional 1.11% of the equity of a Dead Desire, and I'm going to be using that to market and promote a Dead Desire's music on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, because if I can get that up to 50,000 streams and 500,000 monthly listeners, I can make anywhere from $18,000 to $20,000 a month just off of streaming and downloads. So that's what I'm hoping to do with the Spotify, and because like I'm on all the major audio platforms and stuff too with podcasts. So I just got to keep grinding it out, and eventually those views and stuff will come, But hey, man, go ahead. Sorry. I was just going to say, the last thing I was going to say was I just, because of those advertisements that I had done in November, December, like I just barely got on at the beginning of this month. And that's why I'm just kind of bringing it up now. It's because it's fresh. Like I totally spaced it, but I got on to ASCAP to check to see how much the Vanity is made from like terrestrial radio streams and stuff. And I got on there and it's like reviews, songs, top songs in order. And I was like, what does that mean? And I clicked on the PDF and it showed there's 7 songs that I've had since November that have been played several thousand times that are not the Vanity. I was like, holy crap. Like, so there's the advertising and the marketing strategy that I figured out how to do is definitely working. And that's all my last step is to get this $10,000 and to just blow past everybody in the mainstream and get it to the point where I'm charting just on Spotify and Apple. So the radio industry will be like, who's this guy charting? And what's this song? And then they'll hear it and be like, well, it's already successful on Spotify, so why don't we just play it on the radio? And then that's when shit's gonna change.
Right. So essentially what you're kind of doing, I guess you're kind of doing what Tom McDonald does in a way, where he runs stuff as ads over other people's stuff to target certain people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hey man, it works.
Anybody who listens to alternative rock or like there's a thing on the ads manager called Audience Insights. You type in like, I could type in Incubus, any band. The main one that has the most following or interest on Facebook is Tool, the band. And for Rage, it was like the Rage has a Tool vibe, so I put Tool on that advertisement, and that's why it went from just advertising on Facebook to having 130,000 views on YouTube. Like, yeah,
I was looking at that the other day because I'm probably one of those several plays, on different platforms and stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
and I was looking at, I always like to look at comment sections, and I would say almost every on that video, on Rage, the video, almost, I would say every other comment on that section was like, I came here from Instagram. 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 It was like came here. It was like came here from Instagram. Next comment. This is awesome. I love it. Came here from Instagram.
Thank you, Instagram. Finally, something good.
Thank you from hello. Thank you from Russia or something like that. I'm like, I was like, and I seen that. I was like, man, that he's got to be running ads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
dude, they love it. It's crazy. Like it took off for a little bit. And so if I just get that $10,000 loan, I get a return on investment, dude, I can get it to the point where my ad campaign will just fund itself.
Yeah.
And then I just continually grow my fan base. And then eventually I'll be a multimillionaire and an independent musician that has his own label and has other artists that he's able to do the exact same thing for.
That's the American dream, man, is to be able to own all your own shit. That's one of the reasons why, like, I never got down with the whole YouTube thing. I was just like, man, I'm just gonna do my thing, like, you know. And there's so long I was just like, I don't even care anymore. Like at that time, I had already had 100 videos demonetized. I was like, I don't even care if I make anything. I'm not gonna be nice. I'm just going to come in here, talk my shit, and do me. And if people catch on and like it, then they catch on and like it. If they don't, they don't.
That's the way to do it, brother. No, It's been awesome for you having me on, Drew. I greatly appreciate you for the opportunity to speak with you, bro.
Yeah, man. Anytime you want to come back on and chop it up anymore. There is one thing that I do at the end of my show. I always ask the guest to leave my podcast with a little bit of inspiration to the people listening, to put that positive energy back out to people listening, to helpfully charge their self up, to make them get off their asses to go do stuff.
Oh yeah.
So with that being said, give me give this base of people some Moroni a Dead to Desire inspiration.
I guess the main thing I can say is do whatever you can to be as authentic as possible, no matter what anybody else says.
Yeah, man.
On top of the fact that I had something else that was really, really inspirational just there, but then I brain farted.
Hey, it happens to me all the time. It happens to me all the time, man.
It was really good. It was really
good. That's literally my whole entire show is one big brain fart.
I had something. You got me.
There's so many times I'll be chopping this up, or I'll be listening to it back in post and editing and everything like that, and I'm like, damn it, that was a brain fart. Why didn't I ask that guy this question here? Like,
what the hell? Thank you. So what I was going to say is the only person that is going to make things happen for you is you. Mm-hmm. So do your best to be as authentic as possible. It's because that's the only way you're going to make that happen. Yep. Is doing it because you believe in it, and it's because something that you're passionate about. That's the only thing I can really say that's inspirational.
All right, you guys.
Podcast is somewhat inspirational.
If they can deal with me saying inspirational nonsense, then I'm pretty sure they'll be okay with that one too. Okay, guys, that's the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed my episode with Moroni. And dude, I had a great time talking to you. You're welcome to come back on anytime that you want to talk about more shit. If you have anything that you ever want to talk about, just be like, hey, dude, let's do a show. And you're always welcome to come back on. Other than that, you guys, I thank you guys, and I thank you guys for stopping by one more time, and I forgot my fucking outro. Talk about brain farts. But anyways, you bunch of assholes, I'm out of here. And I love you guys, and I thank you guys for stopping by one more time. But other than that, here's a bit of inspiration. Wake up every morning, ready to fight, because that's what life is. It's a fight. And you got to go out every day like it is one. If not, you're going to be down on the canvas all the time. So get up off your asses, assholes. Take it easy.